I swear to God, if Scorsese makes another 3-hour movie and doesn't give us an intermission, I'm gonna drink a 2-liter of root beer and piss on his lawn.
Dude, I'm telling you, try wearing a catheter. They make the movie experience so much better.
Joe, unless a young Mia Malkova is the nurse, I'm not letting a catheter within a 5-foot radius of my cock. Also, Jesus Christ, where the hell is Obama?
What's up, niggas?
Whoa, Obama, wait a bit, will ya? YouTube doesn't like hard language in the first 30 seconds of the video.
Bro, this meme is dead, and I honestly don't care about the money anymore.
What about your Fortnite addiction, bro? How are you gonna pay for it without the monetization money?
It's a thing of the past, Joe. Your boy won a bet with Ben Shapiro, and he's now flooded with Benjamins.
What was the bet about?
Actually, now that I think about it, I'd rather not say.
Oh, come on, Barack. It can't be that shameful.
Yeah, out with it, Barry. How'd you beat him? What was the bet?
Okay, well, I won't go into details, but I'll say this. The bet had to do with some paragliders and an EDM concert.
Oh my God.
Barack, are you saying...
Yes, I am. Boys, I now own every Fortnite skin and emote ever made.
Jesus, Barack, you're a twisted fuck.
Dude, what do you expect? His middle name is Mohammed.
It's Hussein, dipshit.
That's not an improvement, Barry.
Guys, we need to stop this conversation before people think we're making some sort of political statement.
Wise idea, Joe? Okay, whose movies should we rate today?
Let's do PTA. God knows everybody's been asking for it.
Sounds good to me.
Same here.
Okay, Up is his first movie, Hard 8. It has some good performances, and it's a solid enough feature debut, but besides that, it's nothing special.
I agree. While it's an enjoyable time, it's a low B tier or high C tier in all reality. It feels like an overly padded TV movie of the week.
High C tier fits. Its editing really should have been tightened. If it had, we'd actually have been able to organically go into Sidney's backstory instead of Sam Jackson giving an exposition dump.
Yeah, having Jimmy explaining everything in that car scene felt cheap. If PTA were to pull a Hitchcock and remake one of his own movies, this definitely should be it. All right. Now on to his masterpiece and every Coomer's favorite porn movie, Boogie Nights, easy S tier.
My favorite porno is actually the opening of Misty Beethoven. But you're right, Barack, easy S tier, and I'm absolutely in love with Roller Girl.
Man, this movie is overrated, and Roller Girl has a lamer gimmick than most of the characters in Mystery Men. I'll be diplomatic and give it B tier.
You gotta be kidding me.
Dude, how? This movie is damn near perfect. It's a minimum A tier.
Perfect? Barack, this movie is more in your face than a blue-haired, septum-pierced, two-spirit Satanist who's pegging your face with a dildo. The whole thing is back-to-back needle drops and camera movement for the sake of camera movement. It's like PTA saw the opening of Goodfellas and said, hey, you see that Mr. Cinematographer? Yeah, I want the whole movie to be like that. Hell, I'd say it's more ADHD than Baby Driver.
Don't you dare talk shit about that Edgar Wright masterpiece, you inbred baboon.
Oh, shut up, Joe. You only watched Baby Driver to support Kevin Spacey, and the only thing you liked about it was Baby's mommy kink.
Not true. I also liked its soundtrack.
Trump, flashy cinematography, and great needle drops are not good reasons to hate on a movie. Plus, it has MILF legend Nina Hartley in it. Heck, give me one good critique, and I may consider lowering it into A tier.
Okay, here's one. Marky Mark's overly long and out-of-tune recording session with John C. Reilly made me want to give myself tinnitus.
That was the point of the scene, Don. It's great cringe humor. As a diehard fan of Spider-Man 3, you really ought to know this.
Fuck you, Barry. Spider-Man 3 is amazing, and Tobey Maguire will always be the best Spider-Man.
Bro, that movie is such dog shit.
Eat my ass hair, Joe!
It's staying in S tier. Up next is his most depressing movie, Magnolia.
Question, have either of you figured out why it's called Magnolia?
No.
Nope.
Neither have I. Anyway, this movie did its job well enough, but I never want to see it again.
Why? Did it remind you of how terrible of a father you are?
No, Hunter Biden's father, as a frog lover, I just really hate the ending.
Dude, you know they weren't real frogs, right?
Doesn't matter, Barack. That ending was still more painful for me to watch than Two Girls, One Cup.
Yuck! Dude, that's not even in the same category. That being said, I didn't love the ending either. While incredibly humorous, that shit really came out of nowhere, and it broke the grounded atmosphere the rest of the movie had built. I also gotta say, this movie feels very Oscar baity at points, especially with Julianne Moore's performance.
Yeah, she's in full Karen mode for most of the movie. I still love Tom Cruise's performance, though. He really nailed that Andrew Tate asshole vibe.
Why do I have a feeling that that performance was an average Scientology recruitment video for Tom?
No cap, it probably was. But thankfully, PTA gave Philip Seymour Hoffman a role to actually chew on.
Yeah, he gave a really good subtle performance as the hospice nurse.
Okay, boys, while it's not a big rewatch movie, I still think this movie deserves A tier. What do you think?
I'd give it a B tier. For me, rewatchability is a real necessity for an A tier ranking.
Same here. I only rewatch it for the Tom Cruise TED Talks.
Fair enough. Into B tier it goes. Next up, Punch Drunk Love.
Man, this is such a fun movie. It's heartfelt, funny, beautifully shot, and it's a quintessential rom-com for neurodivergent people.
And for the kinky at heart, too. I mean, what other rom-com has ever had this kind of dirty talk in it?
I'm looking at your face and I just want to smash it. I just want to fucking smash it with a sledgehammer and squeeze it. You're so pretty.
I want to chew your face and I want to scoop out your eyes and I want to eat them and chew them and suckle them.
Yeah, can't lie. Taking his whole filmography into account, PTA seems to be the kind of guy who frequents the weirder forums on FetLife.
Barack, first rule of FetLife.
Oh, my bad. Well, back to it. I'd give this movie a high A tier. I'd have it an S tier, but I wish the relationship had more depth to it besides, hey, we're both weird. That means we're meant for each other, right? I also wasn't a fan of the first 10 minutes, and those J.J. Abrams lens flares were too much for me at times.
Barack, I believe the correct term is anamorphic lens flares.
Oh, shut up, nerd. You're not fucking Alex Trebek.
Whatever they're called, I'm not a fan. What do you think, Joe?
I loved the lens flares, the opening 10 minutes, and the rest of the movie. It's hands down S tier.
Okay, into S tier it goes. Up next is his undisputed masterpiece, There Will Be Blood. This is easy S tier, and I better not hear anyone say otherwise.
Meh, I'd give it B tier.
Oh, Christ, Joe, will you ever allow us to make a short video?
Joe, you better be pulling my leg. This isn't funny.
Sadly, I'm not Barack. I found it boring AAF, and it was my least favorite of the Best Picture nominations that year.
You seriously like Juno more than There Will Be Blood?
Yes, and Elliot Page should have won Best Actress that year.
Joe, you have shit taste in women. Also, please explain your stupid opinion before I beat you to death with a bowling pin.
The movie just didn't hit home with me. Daniel Day-Lewis gave a legendary performance, but unless he was being tormented by that incel-looking motherfucker, Paul Dano, I was never on his side emotionally. PTA's strength is telling stories about tribes of likable misfits, and the only thing misfitty about Daniel Plainview is his lack of interest in pussy.
Dude, what kind of weird cinephile Tumblr account are you following? Plainview is not gay?
I don't know, Trump. Joe makes a good point. Dude is a millionaire and he never buys a scrap of poo-tang. That's sus AF.
God damn it, Plainview is a straight white male millionaire who is a great businessman and a good Republican. Both of you will stop tarnishing his name.
Well, stop being so insecure about your bisexual urges, Trump. Joe, I respect your opinion, but the movie is a fucking masterpiece. Not putting it into S tier would be a bigger disgrace than the lighting and solo as Star Wars story. It goes into S tier.
Such a gay-ass take.
Don't be homophobic, Joe. You're going to need those queers in the next primary. Up next is his most Freudian movie besides Boogie Nights, The The Master. It's not my favorite movie of his, but goddamn it was nice to finally see Philip Seymour Hoffman getting a proper role in an Anderson movie.
I know, right? The man was so good he was even able to upstage frickin' Joaquin Phoenix.
I also like the fact that this movie goes back to Anderson's forte, by following a true misfit. Like, honestly, who's more out of place in this world than a drunk, purposeless, sand-fucking-sex addict who got touched by his aunt when he was a kid?
Yeah, I bet that's your favorite part of his backstory, Joe.
No, it actually reminded me too much of my childhood.
Well, that explains a lot. Anyway, besides the performances, I also loved the 70mm cinematography. Robert Ellsworth really should have had an Oscar nod that year. All this being said, though, I wouldn't give this movie anything more than a high B or low A tier. There's nothing really wrong with it, but it's just not his best movie in my opinion.
I agree it's not his best movie, but I would put it into low A tier since it did something that most movies don't do anymore.
And what's that?
Show an ass ton of beaver.
I'm sadly not a fan of The Bush. Thankfully, however, it had Amy Adams giving Philip Seymour Hoffman a reach around, so I'm fine with it being an A tier.
Weird reasoning, but okay, low A tier it goes. Now for his worst movie, in my opinion, Inherent Vice. Sadly, I have to put this movie into C tier.
Barack, I understand your lack of love for this movie, but I think C tier is far too low. Suggesting Inherent Vice is in the same category as Hard 8 is kind of cap.
No, it isn't. While Vice is funny and beautifully shot, Hard 8 does lots of things better. It was simple, easy to understand, the characters were much more relatable, and it has Sam Jackson calling his dick a Hard 8.
Barack, were you just unable to follow the plot?
Possibly.
Yeah, me neither.
Can't blame you. I had to watch it 2 more times to fully get it. The movie is like being high on some really good acid. It's a fun ride. But you really don't know what the fuck is going on most of the time. Massive points to Anderson, though, for letting Belladonna have a cameo in the movie.
I don't know why she was in this movie. It wasn't like his casting of Nina Hartley and Veronica Hart in Boogie Nights, where some porn pedigree is a nice touch.
You forget he also had Hart cameo in Magnolia as an orthodontist.
Yeah, that was a weird choice. That being said, Belladonna gave a really solid performance, all things considered.
Yeah, and it was actually nice to see her with some clothes on for once.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Too bad she never fixed the gap in her teeth.
And I loved the Woodstock Vomit Blumpkin story.
Dude, I physically spat out my Fanta when I heard that story. Shit was too damn funny.
Okay, we've acknowledged the movie is far too complicated, but it's stupid funny and a good time. I say we give it B tier. Any movie that has Josh Brolin deep-throating bananas has earned that ranking at a minimum.
Yeah, I figured you liked that, Joe. Sasuke shit aside, I can settle for that ranking.
Fine, but I still think it's bullshit that a comedy needs to be watched 3 times to understand its plot.
Fair enough.
Okay, on to his hands down kinkiest movie, Phantom Thread.
Kinky is right. Fuck, I'm into dominant nurses just as much as the next man, but not enough to let them actually poison me.
Yeah, it being so kinky, though, is probably why it lost to Shape of Water.
Yeah, apparently nurse play is too much for the Oscars, but sex with a fish is A-OK if said fish has a six-pack. Kinkiness aside, however, this movie is a masterpiece. The movie is funny, beautifully shot, the costume design is fantastic, and Daniel Day-Lewis really gave one of his best performances.
Hey, do you think he poisoned himself to get in character?
Knowing his crazy method acting ass, he probably did.
If so, I understand why he quit acting.
The only negative thing I can say about this movie is that it feels too slow at times. I was honestly shocked to find out it's only 2 hours long.
Yeah, it felt closer to 2.5 to 3 hours for me. Besides that, however, I think it's a great movie and still deserves A tier.
Same here.
I'd buy that for $1.
Okay, into A tier it goes. Now onto the horny teenage boy babysitter fantasy known as Licorice Pizza.
Okay, weird question, but was I the only one who thought the babysitter looked a lot like Tristan Summers?
Jesus, Joe, you watch too much porn.
Yeah, I think I have a problem.
Don't worry, Biden. I too saw the resemblance. Anyway, I can't lie, fellas. This movie was kind of dull for me. I mean, I loved the Japanese restaurant owner and his wives, and the performances from Cooper Hoffman and Alana Haim were very good, but it just didn't resonate with me.
Trump, I actually agree with you. While I love the set design and cinematography,
And that green 1970s Lucasfilm font.
oh yeah, that was a nice touch, but besides those things, it just wasn't my idea of a good time. It felt like a lesser retread of Punch Drunk Love, but with less interesting characters and more problematic love interests.
Well, personally, I was really moved by the love story.
I heard Woody Allen was too.
Drink piss, Trump. As I was saying, I enjoyed it, but I also found it kind of mid. It felt really disjointed at times and rather aimless at others. And I was saddened that no babysitter titties were shown. So I have to give it a C tier.
Man, I would give it a low B tier. It's slightly too well crafted to give it a C tier.
Now, I'm actually more with Biden on this, Don. It might not be a C-tier movie overall, but in comparison to the rest of his work, it's a putt below par.
Fine. I'm not in love with this movie enough to debate it.
That works for me. Into C-tier it goes.
Man, all this talk of porn stars and gay kinky shit has made me think of something.
That's a dangerous pastime, Don.
I know, but hear me out. Since we now know how much of a weird fuck PTA is, which porn star do you think he'll have in his next project?
I can see him putting Sasha Grey or Adriana Chechik in for some popularity points. Or Mia Malkova or Lacey Lennon if he wants actors who can sing.
Nah, man, he'll probably go for Chloe Cherry because of her role in Euphoria. That puffy-lipped slut has some acting chops on her.
Barack, the man only hires legends, so newbies are off the table. If I were to place money on it, I'd say he'll probably have Lisa Ann cameo at some point.
God, I would fucking love that.
I'd rather see Misty Stone or Anna Fox, but I'd be happy to see Lisa Ann as well.
And as usual, the love for Lisa Ann is bipartisan. How about you, viewers? Tell us who you think is enough of a porn legend to be in a PTA movie. Best answer and reasoning will get a pin in the comments.
God, this comment section is going to be worse than the hub.
May the YouTube gods forgive us for the simping demons we're about to unleash.
And forgive all of the sinners who lost no nut November. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.